How to turn your trash into an awesome set for miniature wargaming. Step 1. Location, location, location. There are 3 places you must have in your home prepared and designated for this project. They don't have to be huge, they just need to be exactly big enough for what you intend to make. If you start this process without a proper place to put all your junk, and a proper place to put your finished pieces, and a proper place to make the pieces, it'll all become a huge mess fast. Designate a place, probably in a closet, where you can just put bags of interesting junk. Make sure it's not getting in the way of anything else you want to store nearby. It may spread. Then designate a second place where finished terrain will go safely for storage. This has to be level, flat, easy to access, and safe from pets. The third location can be a desk or table that you use for other things at other times. Just know that it will not be usable for those things until you are done with the piece you are doing. It is often very difficult to pause this process and shove everything in the closet and then pull it back out. Next, let's talk about the actual materials you'll be building with. Step 2A. Evaluate your junk supply. What do you have in your house right now that you will never use for its intended purpose again? Did you get something that didn't work, or broke, but resisted throwing it out? Repurpose old, unused, or broken toys and turn them into something new. Take a broken computer or an old VCR. Tear it apart and see what the different pieces inspire. Step 2B. Evaluate your junk, import-export. What kind of stuff do you tend to throw away without thinking about it? What kind of junk tends to build up in your house because of your lifestyle? Do you end up with lots of bottles or cans? What other kinds of packaging crosses your path on a regular basis? I have chronic pain, so I get 3 new pill bottles every month, plus anything that contains other substances I use for relief. And I've been saving them for ages. You'll see them a lot in my work. I had a bunch of old paint pots that dried up, and I decided to use those too. The core benefits of keeping an eye on things that you can get lots of over time without spending money is obviously the free and recycling aspects. But from a design perspective, having things that are all the same shape already gives you so many possibilities. You don't have to fudge it or find a way to make them fit. You know they'll all be the same. Step 3. Choosing a theme. Now that you have a big pile of useless stuff and your friends and family are starting to get concerned, it's time to go full trash panda. Take your precious, interesting garbage, make sure it's clean of any foodstuffs, and lay it all out on your workspace. This is where you really need to activate your creativity. You may have had ideas about what things did or could look like while you were collecting, but this is where the yellow stuff meets the blue stuff. Take some miniatures and see what pieces are stable platforms. I do recommend splurging on some foam core because it allows you to create stable pieces out of almost anything. Move stuff around and put it together and see what jumps out at you. Evaluate what you have a lot of and base a theme around the items that are easily repeatable. My first 2 projects this year were a sewer setting and a bombed-out skyscraper setting because the pill bottles and other tubes and boxes I had access to served that purpose well. Soon I'm setting my sights on a suburban police state, an Imperial Guard fortress city, a solarpunk metropolis, a Mechanicum forge city, and a Vegas-style casino city, all inspired by pieces I've collected over the years. And each of these themes become settings in the world our game and story are set in. Step 4. Building the internal logic. This is possibly the most challenging part, but I have confidence in you. When you start actually planning individual pieces, you have to think about what they're actually supposed to be. Then you have to split the difference between them looking like that upon first glance and them looking like there's a logic to why they were built that way upon closer inspection. And then also actually being playable in the game you intend to use them for. For that last part, you're basically just considering where it can be placed on the battlefield, the different ways it could be used in those different positions, and if those tactical opportunities and limitations are interesting. Vertical platforms can be useful in most miniature games, but in a game like Kill Team, which I play the most, the height of the platform is very important. Because the 2-inch height difference matters so much to gameplay, to keep things clear and easy to use in the game, I make sure every piece within one theme are either the same height, or the height difference is divisible by 2. Kill Team visibility rules also affect whether I choose to make something a completely solid wall, because those rules affect the game a lot. These considerations are essential to make sure these pieces can be rearranged several times and continue to give you compelling strategic problems to solve. While keeping all that in mind, you want to take your assembled junk and begin putting it together. Remember, the goal is to be immediately representational of the vibe you're going for, while also rewarding additional scrutiny. This is a miniature hobby. Part of the joy is finding fun ways to represent things like they've been shrunk. Attention to detail is going to take time, so make sure to not give yourself a task that will take forever to actually finish. But putting a few flourishes on each piece really rewards people who enjoy your art enough to look at it for more than a passing second. Step 5. Planning color. Once the thing is assembled, it's time to decide how to paint it. Color is one of your most powerful tools in getting people to feel the vibe you're going for. There are lots of videos about color theory on this platform, even specifically applying color theory to miniatures, and those might help. But with themed terrain, it's a little more like designing a tiny set for a movie. When you're choosing colors, think of what collective energy you want the pieces to give off. If you're leaning towards classic grimdark, grays and browns and dark colors with bits of neon is usually the way to go. No matter what aesthetic you're going for, I recommend watching a bunch of movie or TV or music video scenes in a similar setting. See if you like any of their aesthetic choices, or if they use color in a particular way that you like. For Mysore, I was particularly inspired by the recent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. And the brick is specifically inspired by walls that were across the street when I was growing up. So I went for saturated colors next to the concrete, red brick, and cream tile, making sure it felt kinda real and gross, but also fun and even pretty in my opinion. These are the kinds of decisions you want to make considering all the pieces you want to make inside this theme, not just one. Then, when you want to add a new piece to the theme, you already have a baseline color palette to iterate on. Bold, broad colors and a hard contrast between saturated and unsaturated, or textured and untextured, can help make the board more easily readable during the game, and easier to get invested in, especially for people with challenges to their sight already. Then, if you have more than one piece that has a similar shape, use color as a way to make them distinct, as long as it doesn't break the logic built in the previous section. In the next video about this, I'll discuss how to plan a big artistic and strategic centerpiece to your themed table. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. We have a lot more interesting stuff coming soon.